Hello people, today I wanted to talk about this ordeal that happened with David Jaffe and Metroid Dread. And not to throw shade at him or insult his intelligence, I think enough of that has happened, but to highlight a point about differing perspectives and different forms of knowledge, as well as whether game designers always know more than gamers. So the story is that David Jaffe got stuck in a room in Metroid Dread, gave the game a bad review, and claimed it was bad game design, because apparently there was not enough signposting or cues to show him where to go. Now, there is enough signposting and cues to show him where to go, and I'll get into that in a bit, but I wanted to highlight his response to people telling him stuff like this. He would normally bring up that he's a game designer, or in this comment he would say, "I'm a damn good game designer. I understand gameplay and gameplay theory, and I have the hits and misses and the experience to back it up." Now don't get me wrong, I'm sure you do have a lot of good experience. But when you say things like this, it gives the impression that you have a belief that because you are a game designer, your perspective and knowledge is better than other people. And my view is that different perspectives are important. Not just in game design, life in general. A fresh perspective can be enlightening. But when it comes to knowledge, it's not that knowledge can be better or worse. It's just that there's different kinds of knowledge. The important part is how you make use of that knowledge. And David Jaffe's knowledge of game design is different from the game design shown in Metroid Dread. He's worked on games like Mickey Mania back in '94, he's worked on games like the Twisted Metal series, and his most notable work is God of War, which is a linear action-adventure, whereas Metroid Dread, or games like Metroid Dread, are Metroidvanias, which are non-linear to begin with. Now, even though all these games are different in design, there are still game design principles that can be shared across multiple genres. For example, visual cues, sound cues, or just general signposting to nudge the player in the right direction is important for any game. And there's different types of signposting. There's more hand-holding types where there's markers and waypoints telling the player where to go, or there's types that are more nuanced and natural where all you have is the environment, you have to explore and then find the path ahead. And good signposting is especially important for Metroidvanias because they're large interconnected maps that players can get stuck or lost in, so the game needs to be able to nudge the player in the right direction. David Jaffe feels that Metroid Dread doesn't have enough good signposting, which is why it's bad game design. But the thing is that there's actually a lot of sufficient signposting that he is failing to see as a game designer. So the culprit to him is this room where he had to shoot these hidden blocks to progress further, and that no player would figure this out. But the thing is that there's actually a couple of cues, and I'm gonna highlight them. The first cue is the enemy crawling on the ceiling, and right above that enemy are two other enemies flying in an area. Instinctively, a player is going to see this and shoot in that direction. And if you don't believe me, here's footage of streamers shooting in that direction and opening the path. But alright, let's say this isn't sufficient. What if a player doesn't shoot like that? What if a player just jumps up and down trying to shoot right in front of them? Okay, what other signposting is there? The second form of signposting is that the player is actually stuck in this area. David Jaffe tried to disprove this, but in that same video where he was trying to disprove it, he disproved himself, and he kept walking to paths that were blocked. Effectively, all paths are closed, and everything points to that room. And the reason it also points to that room is that that room is visually distinct from all the other rooms in the area. And that room above that you didn't explore is already a sign to the player to let them know, like, okay, I need to get up there. Now you may be wondering, why would a player know to shoot some hidden block? Well, aside from the enemy on the ceiling nudging you to shoot in that direction, the game explicitly tells you about hidden blocks. The message reads, "Some destructible blocks are hidden. If you run into a dead end, try shooting at your surroundings. Striking some blocks with missiles may reveal how to destroy them." This was within the first 5 minutes of controlling Samus. How much more explicit can the game get? So from what I've shown, the game does have enough information for the player to move in the right direction. This is not a case of bad game design, this is a case of a bad player, and the bad player happened to be a game designer. Which brings me to my next point. Do game designers automatically know more than gamers? Which brings me back to different perspectives and forms of knowledge. The knowledge and perspective of a gamer, and the knowledge and perspective of a game designer. Now, I imagine game designers understand the technical aspects of game design, but who's to say that gamers don't have that knowledge as well? I mean, people that are in this community have been playing for a long time, since the days of Atari, Amiga, Commodore, and fucking Pong consoles. But then there's gamers like me who are younger. I'm 23, but for 18 of those years I've been gaming, playing on a Super Nintendo, a PS1, PS2, PS3, dabbling on PS4, getting to PC, which didn't only introduce me to a whole new library of games, but also introduced me to the world of emulation and modding, which is a bit of a gray area nowadays, but point is that it introduced me to a whole new window of gaming. And I didn't only play games to enjoy them, I would analyze them. I would look at the details packed into them, whether it was visuals, sound design, gameplay mechanics, and so forth. I'd think about why I liked a game, why I didn't like it, why I thought it could be better. And if I wasn't playing games, I was watching videos on games or researching them. And the reason I'm saying all this is because there's other people who think and feel like me, who are just as passionate about game design. And just because we're not game designers ourselves does not mean we know nothing of game design. Our thoughts and views are just as valuable as yours as a game designer. It just comes from a different perspective. And as a game designer, it might be valuable to listen to the perspective of the person buying your product. Now, of course, when listening to gamers or consumers, you can hear a cacophony of voices that can be incredibly negative and not really give anything constructive. People saying stuff like this game is too hard when they're playing a Souls game, but there are people out there that are able to dissect games, understand why they can be good, why they can be bad, and why they can be better. And of course, why a game is good or bad is subjective, but a lot of people can claim that even though a game is not their cup of tea, they can still see a level of polish. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Peace.